Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining us here today. On behalf of NIT University, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all the students who've joined us today and also some parents. Before we start, I'd like to request all of you to please keep your microphones on mute and also any other gadgets like your phones around you on mute, please. Today, we'll be discussing about career development and placement preparedness and what it means to us at NIT University. During the course of the evening, we'll introduce you to not only our speakers, but just so that you're able to get a 360-degree view of what the university represents, we also have in this session a few of our students. We've been receiving a lot from all of you, and I've categorized them in sections, and I'll be taking those during the session today. Our speakers, however, will be more than happy to take on any additional questions, if at all, during this session. I'm requesting everybody to please type these questions in the chat box window on the right side of your screen so that we can address them as we go along. And for today's session, we'll try to answer questions only related to placements and career development activities on campus. If you have additional questions, we'll be more than happy to take those offline through our regional admission teams. And last but not the least, some of you may have actually not had a chance to visit the NIT University campus. So we thought, what better way than to bring the campus to you? So as you notice, each of us will have a background view of our favorite spot on campus for you to see, and we'll describe that a bit as we go along. My background, by the way, is that of the reception driveway, the first point where you'll get off from your vehicle to enter inside. So on this happy note, let's start the evening. Our first speaker today, Mr. Vijay Thadani. Mr. Thadani is Vice Chairman and Managing Director, NIT Limited, and co-founder, NIT University. He's been actively engaged with many industry bodies and has held positions like President of the Indian IT Industry Association, Chairman of CII Northern Region, Chairman of the National Accreditation Board for Education and Training. He's also been on the board of MNIT Jaipur, Triple IT Allahabad, and IIT Delhi. Today, he'll talk to us about the core founding principles and ethos of NIT University. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Monisha, and very hearty welcome to all my dear prospective Newtons, future Newtons. As you know, we call our students Newtons. So the minute you become a part of university, or you have become a potential Newton, and hopefully by someday you will become real Newtons as well. So we have among prospective and future Newtons, we have some current Newtons who are right now at going through their curriculum and academics at NIT University. And we also have, I introduce them with great pride, some of our alumni Newtons who are really actually telling the whole world how different is the experience that they have gone through and explaining that part. So we have all three varieties. We also have another breed of people, and those people I call nurturers. So very much like our students are called Newtons, our faculty, our staff, and all of us are called nurturers. As you know, we are very fond of any word which has an N and a U in it. So that's how these two acronyms got coined. So once again, a hearty welcome to you. Monisha asked me to cover some brief aspects of our vision, and also how this whole career development and placement is kind of weaved into the ethos of NIT University. And I'm sure after that we will see how do these principles get implemented, how have they got implemented, and how they have evolved over a period of time. So as you know, NIT University now, after it was pronounced and set up in 2009, has been in existence for 10 full years, and it's the 11th year in which we are in. And this university was actually set up to be a university of the future, and the future being at that time determined by the fact that the knowledge society was taking over, our industrial society was giving way to a new and emerging framework, which was the knowledge society. And in knowledge society, in the industrial society, if the key engine was machines, and therefore a large amount of engineering disciplines came around that, then the key engine in the knowledge society is the human mind, because that and the innovative capabilities that the human mind has are the ones which have to be leveraged. And we felt that if that has to happen, given most of the education, and not only we, a strong advisory board as well as our board, felt that we need a different design of the university, and this will follow some very new practices. And that's how we envisioned ourselves as the university of future. And we said we will focus on 4 important issues. One is about learning, and learning as different from teaching, because learning is when you actually learn and can demonstrate what you have learned. Second was about innovation, because we felt knowledge society is all about innovation and newer ways of doing things, which in today's times, the times we are in the middle of the pandemic, we have to experience it every day. We have to find new and innovative ways of living, for example, working, or for that matter, even studying. So all these are innovations which will be in the knowledge society. The third part was to do with research, because new knowledge has to be found, again, very relevant in the current scheme of things, where all of us are studying or trying to figure out what is the cure or what is the vaccine for this pandemic. And a lot of research done in the past is what is being put to use, and hopefully we will come up with a solution very soon. And then the last part was sustainability. Knowing that balance in the nature will be very important, and sustainability as expressed in sustainability of environment, sustainability of the education that you go through, sustainability of coexisting with the society. Now these all things look very abstract, so I'll come down one level below and come down and talk about the 4 core principles. Very important issue was the issue of linkages with the industry. And that's a core competence of this institution, because the founders, the institution which has sponsored it, they have been in this area for last 38 years and therefore have strong industry linkages. Even today, as Geetika will, nurturer Geetika will tell you soon, as to 200 or 250 odd graduates, a small compact campus that we have every year, get visited by nearly 700 organizations, and that they have a choice to kind of pick and choose their stuff. The second part was, so industry linkage finds itself expression in the way we design curriculum. Some of you have even asked questions, how do we design new curriculum? A lot has to do with the industry connects which we have, and we ask industry, what are you likely to need 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And we work with those thought-provoking inputs and get and design our curriculum. It is visible in industry professors, who are the visitors who come and help us, not only as visitors, but also as professors and teachers. So that plays an important role. The industry projects, and then the industry practice, as well as finally the placement in those industries. And therefore, campus placement and industry connect are very closely linked with each other at a core principle. The second is technology. Technology driven is a very important part of, or technology based is a very, very important part of our core principles, because technology comes naturally to us. So you'll find a spattering of technology in just about everything we do. And at this point of time, if there is one thing which has become very important for anybody to graduate 3 years from now, 4 years from now, is how much understanding and depth do they have in technology for the jobs that they're going to do. The third element is about research, starting with curiosity and finding new ways of solving problems is what is visible in research, and that's again weaved into our curriculum. You start looking for solutions right from the day you join, and in fact, by the end of the four-year curriculum, you would have actually completed one full research project, which is actually graded and has a lot of credits to it. And the last part, which is about seamlessness. So we realized that the college is on a long journey that all students go through from school to college to industry is a continuum. And in this continuum, seamlessness is important. Today, as you give up your school or complete your school and come to college, frankly, you have to go through an adjustment process. We've been trying to work with that while working with some of your schools. On the other hand, we started doing this, building this seamlessness right from the day you enter college rather than on the last day, which means the preparation for your placement and your career starts from the day you join. And Geetika will hopefully talk to us about how this is actually implemented. It was implemented in an informal way in the beginning and only in the second year, which was also much earlier than what any other university would do. But now it is from the day one. In fact, the very first thing after you register at the campus, we start working with you is, what do you want to achieve in future? And it's not necessary that all of you are looking for a job. Some of you will have dreams of being an entrepreneur, a researcher, a Nobel Prize winner, or just wanting to take your time to figure out what you want to do. We are happy with all those four. And we are also happy with the fact that your mind will change as you go along. So how do we provide for all this is something which you will learn, and hopefully some of our alumni Newtons as well as current Newtons will talk to us about their experiences and how they went through this process. They may not have gone through the full formal process as it has kind of evolved, depending on how old, how long back were they there, but they would definitely have received some or more of each one of those. So we look forward to listening to them. We want to listen to what each one of you want to ask more, and I'm sure we are going to have a very engaging session. Last but not the least, where I'm sitting right now is one of my favorite places. Why? Because just in front of where I'm sitting is where my granddaughter, when she visited the campus for the first time, she planted a tree, and I always go and look at that tree and how she has. And by the way, each one of you, whenever you visit the campus and join the institution, the first day you will also be planting a tree, and that tree will grow with you. And not only that, it will grow, even continue to grow, and you'll nurture it for the rest of its life. So that's a very emotional thought of being associated with the institution. Behind me, what you see is the main building. On the smaller part of the building is the academic block. The left side is the college mess or the university mess, and above that there is also one of the postgraduate hostels. And the grounds behind me are also the points where we collect the rainwater which we harvest through our various initiatives. As you know, it's a very green campus, and one of the key things which this campus looks forward to is first breath of fresh air in everything you do, including when you are inside the classroom, because we use this geothermal cooling or green air conditioning as it is commonly called, which is pumping fresh filtered air. So if there is any place where you can be very safe on the camp, on any place in any surrounding outside your home, it is the NU campus. So we actually call it as safe as your home. The rainwater harvesting is another important feature by which we manage the environment. and 99% of the water that we harvest, we reuse, and the reuse of the wastewater is done to look after the trees, for example, which you would have planted, which all of us have planted. So these are some of the interesting parts of the campus, but this is one of my favorite spots. So that's what I thought I will bring with me when I come for this meeting. I don't want to hog a lot of time. I would now hand you over to Monisha, and she will carry the proceedings further. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. It's wonderful hearing you speak, as always. And with this, I'll move on to our next guest today is Ms. Geetika Chaudhary. She heads the industry collaboration at NIIT University. And Geetika, welcome to the evening. My first question to you is that Mr. Thadani spoke about a lot of principles, but you're the person who gets to implement all of these and put them into practice. So how do you manage to do that?
So very good evening to all of you from NIIT University. And before I start, I would want to tell you that my background is the most beautiful place in the university, which gives you a view of the best sunset and a sunrise, which you can very well see. It's the Japanese garden, which is just adjacent to our main building, and it's one of my favorite spots in the university. That's beautiful. So Monisha, coming back to what you asked me, obviously I'm the one implementing, so I'll tell you how we actually started off. We like many other universities, we also started preparing our students from the 7th semester for placements. But then soon, very, very soon, we realized that, we need to prepare them much well in advance. And that is when we took an initiation known as Design My Future, which is actually a formal process or a formal system where we involve our students in terms of their mentoring, all-round development, guidance, towards whatever they aspire for from the minute they join us. So it starts on day one when they come to the university. There are 3 mentors which are assigned to an individual student for technical mentorship, for peer learning, for guiding them in terms of their attitude, in terms of their skills. So basically at every point, and there are regular interventions from our side to ensure that the student, because obviously with passing time, your aspirations keep changing, your views keep changing, your environment keeps changing. So there is a person, or there are in fact 3 people, 3 mentors, 3 champions or experts to help you decide, to help you monitor, evaluate, think whether this is right or wrong for me. So this Design My Future initiation is one such step which we started some time back, and this has been extremely successful. We have been able to prepare our students and see their successes over the last few years because of this initiation. Apart from that, obviously, as Vijay also talked about, seamlessness. So an example of seamlessness is, because the preparation starts from your minute 1, it's very easy for a student to seamlessly get into an industry practice, which is the last semester for a student, and then seamlessly also get confirmed in the same organization, or maybe get placed at some other organization very, very smoothly, because everything happens with its own pace of time. So that is how we implement this seamlessness and industry linkage very, very smoothly. Anything else, Monisha?
Great. Thank you so much, Geetika. Now, I heard you speak, and I heard Mr. Thadani speak about industry practice as being one of the strongest foundations for us at the university. So how does it impact our students so much? And we have a couple of students and alumni. So if you just give us an introduction about industry practice, then I'd take this conversation to them as well and hear their viewpoint.
Yes, please. So obviously, the students and alumni will be the best to talk about their own experiences, but it's industry practice is one of the most unique features of NIIT University. It is actually an academic semester which carries 20 credits. And in the very last semester of every student who studies with us, he or she joins an industry as an industry practice intern, and they work on a project, according to their specialization, according to the stream they choose, for 6 months. And during this 6 months, there are mentors which are helping them. So the mentors are not only the university mentors. So there is a mentor who's an industry mentor, there is a mentor from the university who's a technical mentor, and then there is a mentor from the Center for Industry Collaboration, which is my team, who's also there. So basically there are 3 mentors, not only monitoring the student but also guiding him through the industry practice, helping him technically as well as non-technically, because obviously this is the first step of any student into the industry. So we want our students to be completely well rounded, supported, and that's the reason this industry practice plays a very, very important role in ensuring that the student finds the right project, then not only finding the right project but also successfully delivering that project to the industry, because constantly we are in touch with the industry mentor, taking his feedback, understanding what exactly the student should do. And that is why looking at our past record of pre-placement offers being given during internship or during industry practice has been extremely high. It has been as high as 70 to 75%. And because of that, students seamlessly get into the organization, start working there as an employee. So this industry practice feature of NIT University is one of the strongest features in letting our students into the industry and also working on a real life project, being a part of a team with proper monitoring, mentoring and guidance from the university as well as the industry. So it's basically something which is absolutely, becomes very easy for a student as well as for the organization to, to take them in, because obviously student is working with them, with their full efforts and with our full guidance for these 6 months. That is why industry practice seems to be extremely successful, and we have 788 industry practice and placement partners as on date.
That's wonderful. So thank you so much, Geetika. And I'm requesting the audience once again, whilst many of you have sent us a lot of questions, which I will take on as we proceed. However, in the interest of time, I'm requesting all of you to kindly add more questions if you want to get them addressed on the chat window on your right-hand side. And I'll quickly now move on to our students. So we heard Geetika spoke about the industry practice, and today I have with me a lot of students from NIT University, and the first one here with us is Abde Manaf. And hi, welcome to the evening. So you're a student from the batch which is about to graduate this year, I believe. So why don't you just give a quick one-liner introduction about yourself? And I have a question that came in specifically for you and your 2 more friends who are with you, which is Vamsi and which is Shreyash. So we heard so much about the industry practice, and how was your journey? So how did the choices that you made change with the course of time? Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Abdimanav Gharyali. I am currently in my 8th semester and interning at Dowcentric in Bangalore. So basically this internship in Dowcentric has been a great experience. And in Dowcentric, we haven't been treated as interns. From day one, we have been treated as employees, and have got to learn a lot actually through NIIT, through all the experience in NIIT, and also the 3-4 months of experience in industry in Dowcentric. We've learned a lot actually. So my specialization in NIIT was cybersecurity, but in Dowcentric, I am working as a data analyst. So that's also a complete change in my stream. So means the experience in NIT University was helpful for me to actually change my stream from cybersecurity to data analyst.
Was this that you wanted to get into, and did you make a choice in the beginning which kind of changed by the time you came into the fourth year?
Not exactly, I would say. If I would recite my story, in the first year, I actually wanted to go into data science. In the second year, I saw some interest in artificial intelligence. In the third year, I got to know about cybersecurity. So in general, if I had a choice, I would have taken all the 5 specializations which were offered to us. But NIIT only gave us one specialization. So even in the interview itself, I specified that I'm not a cybersecurity engineer. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a programmer. I'm a coder. That's what I actually do. That's what I've learned. That's what I've perfected myself in the past 4 5 years.
Okay, great. That's lovely to hear you speak. And we have Shreyash with us. Shreyash, you've graduated from the university, and now when you come back and speak to us, uh, tell us a little bit. Just go back in the past a little bit and tell us, when did you actually start thinking about your future? What are you going to do after your BTech degree?
So, I mean, when you plan out something, you cannot exactly plan out the specifics because most of that are governed by the circumstances and by, by where you are at that particular point in time. But what I planned out initially when I joined college was some sort of a overlining where I want to see myself or where I want to be. So it was finish off my BTech, then gain some experience, and then probably go out for masters, whether it would be MBA or MTech or MS. Now, and that was it. Like that was literally the it of my planning, at least at the start of my semester. And I kind of kept adding to it, subtracting to it as the years went on. So, for example, in my third year, we got to know about the specializations that were being presented out to us, and we were the first batch to which the specialization was being given out to. So for us, it was cybersecurity, data science, AI, and those subjects. So since I had an interest in cybersecurity, I took that specialization, which landed me my internship with KPMG, where I became a cybersecurity analyst. And again, as Geeti ma'am said, we got a PPO from KPMG, and I've been continuing to work there ever since. And very recently, since I now have approximately 3 years of work experience, I applied out to colleges, and I have been accepted into Carnegie Mellon for into their cybersecurity program. So that kind of, I mean, it's I think Sejos very rightly said that when you are planning, you can only see the future to a very certain extent, and of course, years like 2020 do happen. But when you do look back, you can kind of connect the dots as to, yes, you have reached here because these points did happen, and you made these choices at these particular points.
Great. So, Shreyash, KPMG was your final placement? Was that your placement?
Yes, KPMG was.
And now to Carnegie.
Yes, now hopefully to Carnegie.
Did you connect the dots ever when you were studying about that? That's how you're going to plot your graph. Was that on your mind?
Well, I did want to do a master's, as I said, so that was definitely there as part of the plan. I wanted to get into the best universities possible, and because I had both a specialization as part of my undergraduate studies, a holistic undergraduate studies, which was actually one of the very important factors that is being considered when you apply for masters, and because my undergraduate specialization and my job aligned because they were both in cybersecurity, that kind of gave me an edge. and the program to which I applied, considered that.
Great, wonderful. So we also have, today with us Rajat Rai, who graduated from the university. Rajat, what the students here would love to know is a little bit about how you came in, what did you graduate out from, and I believe Ayushi, who's also with you today as one of the speakers, you guys developed a full product for a US-based company. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Sure. So hi guys, I'm Rajat Rai. I'm right now working with PwC as a cybersecurity consultant. My journey from the university to PwC in the industry and now for my master's has been amazing, of course. So the product that ma'am was talking about was PlugChat. We never thought that a year like 2020 would happen, but the university prepared us from probably that time when we were studying inside the university to be in a situation like this. So what happened was the mentor for the US entrepreneur for whom we were developing this application was in the US, and we used to connect with them remotely every day. And with that practice at that point in time, we were able to develop a full-fledged product and launch it inside the market, which fared well. And now when we are inside 2020 working at PwC, we know how to deal with clients or rather our colleagues being in the same remote sort of an environment that we were in at that point in time. So the transition did not hurt us a lot. We had already done that in the past, and we knew we could do it again. So PlugChat was an intelligent artificial intelligence bot, which could enable small users of Facebook pages to communicate with their customers easily, which of course gave us a lot of learning. So right from the time when I was developing this, I knew I wanted to become a software engineer. But while I was developing, I also understood that there was a huge void between the understanding of a developer and what a cybersecurity engineer would do, how an attacker or a hacker would look at the application. So that is where it clicked to me that I should fill the gap. And being on the other side of the table, now it's time to move to the other side of the table and understand what kind of flaws would there exist inside various web applications that people would have developed. So that is my transition from a software engineer, as a university student, to a working professional in PwC with cybersecurity experience.
Great. Ayushi, can I please request you to add a couple of things here? We'd love to hear your experience of Plug and your placement journey at NIT University.
Yeah, hi everyone. A very good evening. So I'm currently working as a data scientist in IBM, and obviously Rajat has already given a brief introduction of the product that we had developed in our fourth year, that is PlugChat. And it's like what's really special about Plug is not only did it teach us a right way to approach towards an idea, to developing a product, or be it like individual languages and learning the coding, but it's really interesting to see that how PlugChat helped me and Rajat in different ways in the fields of our interest. For example, Rajat was interested in cybersecurity, and that's why he chose his area of concentration as cybersecurity, whereas I chose data science as my area of concentration. In this, both the streams are different, but both the streams were kind of combined in PlugChat for us. So when we were developing PlugChat, we kind of grew more interested towards the fields that we were already aspiring to achieve in. And as Rajat said, it was an artificial intelligence powered chatbot. So it really helped me analyze the importance of data science in the current world where everything is ruled by data, as you say. and it really, it really gave me a boost of confidence that by developing this, or while developing this, I do have the potential to achieve what I aspire to be in the field of data science. And similarly for Rajat, as we developed the application, we wanted it to be secure. So for him, it helped in knowing how a secure application works and how security goes hand in hand with the data that we have. So it was really a wonderful experience, and it taught us like so many things that we can't even put to words in a short period of time.
Ayushi, and I'd also like to ask Rajat, did this exposure of Plug, how did it influence your choosing the career that you're in now? I mean, considering that, when did you graduate out of NIT University, both of you?
2018.
Really, yeah.
Okay. So how did this help you in making up the career choice? Because Ayushi is a data scientist intern and you're into consulting. So how did that work out?
If PlugChat never happened, I don't think so I would have turned towards the business side of things. It did not not only teach us the technical aspects, how a complete software or web application is developed, but it also taught us a lot on a software skill from a software skill perspective, from managing deadlines to managing your boss to managing your clients. All of it came together there, and I just simply fell in love with it. I knew that if I wanted to be close to technology and at the same time interact with the clients, I knew I could sell things. So, and again, that was also because that was a happy realization that I had because of Plug. When I was interacting with various US universities to use our product, we knew what they were looking for. We knew the void we were filling. So that was one understanding that came to me, that I could develop products and I could sell it out in the market. So consulting was one field. Second, I knew that I was developing a web application, but I saw the difference in the understanding and the perspective of a developer and a hacker. So I knew there was a void to be filled there, and hence cybersecurity. The transition was amazing. Again, now after completing my IP, seamlessness being one of the core principles, helped a lot, as always. Right from my IP, the first 6 months at PwC, as Manaf already said, that we were never treated as interns. We were employees. So the transition from an intern to an employee, then having a promotion in the first 9 months, it incredibly fell into just place that that anyone would want it to be. Ayushi, we would want to add anything, please.
Yeah, definitely. I would want to add here, like how Plug helped me in my career. So just as a data scientist, it's really good to have a background of development while you're working in the field of data science. It's really a good added benefit. So while luckily for us, PlugChat came into our lives just when we were looking for direction in life, and just when we were deciding what to do with our futures, and like which field to choose at this. So this really it was really helpful for us. So while developing PlugChat, it really gave me the confidence that yes, I can do good as a programmer as well. And while obviously, as I told before, in PlugChat, I understand the intricacies of data science and how it's the field that is booming like anything nowadays. So when I became an intern, it was I kind of hit the ground running, because I already have had an experience of development in my pocket. So when I went there as an intern and I told my manager that I already have development experience, so my manager was quite impressed that that's really good, and I was placed into one of the most important projects in IBM during my internship, where within 3 months of my internship, I had developed developed industry level scalable code. And just to say that it's not about being a good coder, it's about getting the whole picture of a product in which the product that I was working in was actually a data science product, but it also needed some web development things, because you analyze the data and then you also should know how this data can be useful to the end user or the client or the customer. So it was like hitting the ground running. I was already in the phase of coding, and then I went there and I coded, and at the same time gaining experience of data science. It was wonderful, and it was really lucky for me.
So, when I hear all of you speak, and Geetika and I speak about this often, the excitement and the enthusiasm that you see in all of you fresh minds is just so contagious, and it is so much of a learning for all of us who've been around for longer. So thank you so much for spreading such good positive vibes today in the session. And I believe we have Jatin and we have Vamsi, who are from the batch again, which will graduate this year, the batch of 2020. And I'm very curious to ask them that's like the pandemic batch, so as to speak. So Jatin, Vamsi, tell us a little bit about your industry practice. Have you finished that, or is it going on? We'd love to hear a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. My name is Jatin Gupta, and I'm currently interning at IBM as a data scientist. So I'm currently in my 8th semester. I think ma'am very rightly pointed out this is a very unprecedented situation where there are very unprecedented solutions to problems. And one thing which I think Rajat and Ayushi and Abdimanaf also pointed out, that seamlessness has always been a core principle at NU. So we were always taught how to make sure that learning is never stopped, no matter what happens. Even if, of course, these are very bad times. So learning has not stopped in these times as well. We always knew how to communicate with each other over technology when we were doing our capstone projects, when we were doing our R&D projects, when we were communicating with our mentors. And we have been doing the same over WebEx calls, over Zoom calls when we are interning at IBM presently. So I think learning has not stopped for any of us. And we are very glad that we got the experience at NU, which we did, because that has essentially helped us, become the kind of people that we are right now.
So, Vamsi, are you with us today?
Yeah, I'm here. If you guys can hear me.
Hi, Vamsi.
Hello.
So
Hi.
you're in the batch which graduates this year as well, correct?
Yes.
So Vamsi, what was your aspiration in terms of a career when you joined the university? I mean, that there's a lot of people today sitting in the audience, everybody in class 12th, everybody scared and confused. Some of them actually don't even know what's going to really happen. So you were in the same place a few years ago, and what were your career aspirations at that point in time?
Like all I had in my mind when I was in the first semester before joining this university, and in the first semester as well, all I wanted was a challenging job. I just wanted something which I can work upon all night, and still I feel like, yeah, I can do it again tomorrow, and I can do it day after, and do it all the week. So happily, I'm into one of those positions. I'm a data scientist at IBM now, and IBM itself is a company where it always tries new things. It tries to get a new technology before everyone learns it, and then they have another technology which is to be learned again. So this is the reason why they are leaders. And I would say, for the same reason, I wanted that to be like, I have that to be my dream company, I would say, because it just worked the same way I wanted a company to be. Like, always be challenging, give me a new task every day, give me a new library to learn, give me a new function to learn. Every day it'll be a new thing, and every day you'll stay all night learning.
So did you think this is what you want when you joined 4 years ago, or did this aspiration change anytime during the 4 years?
So I actually wanted something like a learning job. I didn't know what it would be a data scientist, or maybe it might be a cybersecurity analyst, or maybe something else. I didn't know back then that this is the exact role I wanted. All I wanted was a challenging job, which would just help me, and I can say that I am in one now.
Okay, that's wonderful. I wish you all the best,
Thank you.
and do keep making us proud like this, all of you, each one of you. So I've been having a lot of questions that are coming on for all of you on the chat, and I'll quickly just direct it. We just had the last couple of minutes, so I'm requesting your answers to be a little brief. And my first question is coming for Abdimanaf, where the question is that how did you select which job to take, and was your decision on the basis of the company or the role or the CTC?
Well, I actually decided to join Dowcentric. Uh, Dowcentric was the fourth company which came to our campus, and through my seniors, through the company profile which I read on the internet, I loved the profile. I loved the job because it wasn't exactly asking us to do a data analyst job. It was actually asking us to do a coding job, which I loved. And it wasn't specific to anything. It also, Dowcentric, from our seniors, we heard that Dowcentric is not going to give you a side project or anything like that. From the day one, they are going to train you on a live project with their seniors. So that's what intrigued me to join Dowcentric.
Okay. Vamsi, I have a question for you, and it says, how did the unique teaching methodology and the multiple projects at NU help you deciding the career of your choice?
So I'm like, I can talk about the past 5 months because I've been in a company for the past 5 months. My work experience would be 5 months, and I would say that there were two important things which NU has taught me and which I'm using daily in my daily life today. First thing I would say that there are they give you a lot of things, and you don't feel that working on multiple projects would be difficult at all. Like for example, for now when I'm in IBM, I'm working on two different projects simultaneously, because of which you'll see that your deadlines are little strict, and you have to get things done by night. You have to get things done, so you don't feel the burden because of the learning you had earlier. And NU actually teaches you to learn. It just doesn't teach you an algorithm or a method or something else just which will help you. It will just teach you how to learn a new algorithm or how to learn a new library you have. So that is the reason you'll not like you won't feel difficulty in doing a new project or doing something which was not done by anyone else before. And that is how it has helped me in what do you call staying late at night as well, because I had to stay late at night in university as well. That was the main point I would say. So
So that was a lot of fun. I can see from the smile on your face.
so that's what you're used to when you get to university. You love something, you keep working on it, you don't see any boundaries for yourself. When that happens, when you realize that no, there are no more boundaries when I'm working on something like this, then you realize yourself that yes, I can work more, I can work for 2 more hours, maybe I can work for one more day before this thing ends, before dinner, maybe before lunch, whatever the deadline is. You want to work for 2 more hours, you want to work for maybe 3 more hours. So how that comes from the interest you have. So, and you will let you realize what that interest is for you.
Thank you so much, Vamsi. And I'm actually getting a lot of questions and I'm hoping we can take as many as we can. Geetika, there's a question that's come in for you. If I could kindly just direct this to you. From Anshika in the audience, who's asking which are the companies in which we can do industry practice and get placements.
So, Monisha, that's a very vast question. As I mentioned, we have about 788 IPN placement partners. But to specify a few, apart from the ones we have our student representations, we already have students from IBM, Dow-Centric, PwC, but I would like to name a few more, who are regularly partnering with us, which are like Cognizant, Coca-Cola, KPMG. In fact, Sreyash, I missed. So that is also one of the organizations, Big Basket, EY, Urban Clap, Integridum, Morgan Stanley. These are a few of our placement partners who are taking, who are taking our students for industry practice in various specializations and streams.
Okay, I have a specific question that's come in to me from I don't have a name here, which is asking about the management placements and biotech placements.
Okay, so for management, Monisha, I would just like to specify that obviously as our IMBA batch is about to pass out the very first batch, but looking at, obviously we start working much well in advance, and looking at our 788 partners, we identified the ones who are actually very much keen to take students even from the management side of it. And for example, some of them, if I would want to name, are Flipkart, Bank of America, Airtel, Byju's, Deloitte, Ashok Leyland, Coca-Cola. These are those partners of ours who've been, who have shown keen interest in hiring students from the management side as well. So these are some of them. And then if I talk about biotechnology is one area where our students mostly opt for a lot of research work, but companies like Biocon, Stelis Biopharma, we have Zydus Cadila. These are some of our placement partners who keep taking our students for industry practice.
Geetika, again, I think, since we have you here, do we have anything specific for artificial intelligence? It's a question that Hara Gopal is asking.
In terms of artificial intelligence, definitely it's one of the areas which is developing and taking shape. And we have organizations like Deep Cognition, like Ventilus, Volkswagen, who have partnered and taken our industry practice students, working on their artificial intelligence projects. And this is one area which is picking up. So in fact, I saw one question which was pertaining to what are the kind of jobs which we can see in the coming 5 or 10 years down the line. And this is one of the areas which is definitely going to boom hugely. And in the past 1 or 2 years, I've seen many other of our partners, inquiring or checking on the curriculum. In fact, they have given us inputs on the curriculum changes, where they would want to intervene and design the curriculum together, and then have our students working on their projects.
So Geetika, again, I'm sure you get this.
If I may add to this,
Sure,
what Geetika on artificial intelligence, our Dean of Engineering, Professor Sudeep Sanyal, he is quite an authority in artificial intelligence, and he joined earlier this year. And he has done enormously good work in that. So much so that a lot of what he has been researching on is also now getting applied in the NU Digital, as we roll out a digital platform to make sure that irrespective of how the pandemic situation evolves, the university will continue to look after the students' academics in as complete a manner as is possible, and in fact try to do better and take advantage of their time and effort. So even during the summer vacation, which was on till tomorrow, We have been, the university faculty have been in touch and has also been updating the platform, which is what the students, when they come back after the summer break, the existing classes, and then of course the new batches which would join in late August, will be using. So even in that platform, a lot of AI-based engines have been put to work. Not to say that IBM, where we heard many of our alumni Newtons working there, they are one of the leading technology companies in artificial intelligence, and some of the work that they have done is really path-breaking. So I think artificial intelligence is very much ingrained, or is getting very much ingrained in the DNA of NU.
Great, thank you. Geetika, I have a question for you from Tanvi, who wants to know how does an organization choose us for placement, on what criteria?
So Manisha, answering to Tanvi's question, every organization will have a different process to follow. More or less, their first screening criteria is CGPA, or and after that they evaluate the skills of the student if it's matching to the requirement they have, and then they follow different screening processes with varied organizations. For example, in in many companies, the first screening process is an aptitude assessment. In some of them, there is a psychometric assessment. In some of them, it's directly a technical evaluation or a technical test which is conducted, followed by an HR round. These are the most commonly done screening processes for placement for our students.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to request Mr. Thadani. There's a question, sir, that's come to us from Prithvish, who's very interested to know what is our plan to conduct classes, considering the pandemic, the COVID infection is going to increase over the next 3 months.
Okay, I think the fact that we have been in our basic design are strongly technology driven and technology based in every aspect. I think the readiness of NU to switch to anytime, anywhere form of education has been extremely quick. In fact, the NU switched to the digital form from the day the lockdown started. In fact, from the day the students went back home. And the good news is that there are still some students, just about 24 of them, 26 of them to be precise, who are in the campus because they couldn't find tickets to reach there. And of course, the university has been fully functioning. They are being looked after by the staff, and all their facilities are being met, or requirements are being met. In answering this part of the question as to how it will, university will provide continuity, this was a very important prerequisite for us when we thought of learning anytime, anywhere. One was that you should be able to continue your education irrespective of where you are and how you are. Of course, within the legal framework which was permitted in the country at that point of time, which meant in the campus you could be sitting anywhere and participating in the class. But of course, there were regulatory restrictions. As soon as the pandemic came in, or the lockdown happened, we were able to offer that same facility in a much more liberated form to our students, and have been working on that. So we intend to make sure that there is full academic continuity for the students for everything that they're doing, very much like there is a full continuity in placement services and career development actions while there has been a lockdown. We are all working from home, but are completely aligned and making sure that the university continues to function 100%. Right from the president, right to the last person who is involved in the university. On 1st of June, the returning batches will actually join the university and complete their semester, because we had to declare summer term much earlier than normal. And then immediately after that, with a short break after that, they would come back and continue with the next year. As far as the new batches are concerned, now that UGC has declared that on by 1st of September, we should all universities should commence their curriculum, whether the lockdown is on or the lockdown is lifted. We would start our registrations in the towards the last second half of August, whether it will be 17th or 24th or maybe both of those days, because we would like to get students in batches depending on how the transportation arrangements work out for people who come. As you know, NU attracts students from all over the nation, in fact from every state. So in which case, how do the transportations work out? But every student will get full academic delivery and full academic continuity including the induction program, which is a very, very famous induction program which we have. So everybody, all the students talk a lot about that. We would like to make sure that wherever you are, if for any reason whatsoever you are not able to come to the campus as prevented by the lockdown, you would be able to maintain continuity. So we want to make sure that we are ready for you irrespective of whether there is a lockdown or otherwise. So your semesters and your academic careers will not suffer at all.
Thank you very much, sir. That is very encouraging, and I'm sure it's a huge, big encouragement to all the students and the parents who are attending the session today. I have time for just the last two questions after which we'll move to closing remarks. And Geetika, there's a question from Srehans Mahapatra and Dheeraj Reddy, both of them asking about the IMBA course and the placements. I think I heard you say that the first batch hasn't yet graduated. So just quickly, if you could tell us what would be the career opportunities and what do we have in mind for their placements?
So as I mentioned earlier, Monisha, looking at the various specializations under IMBA which we have, and obviously there's an edge to them because it's a integrated MBA program that they've done. So there's a lot of preference which they will definitely get in the industry. As I mentioned, we've already had discussions with our existing partners, and a few of them have really shown their interest in taking up our students. In fact, many of them have also started doing their summer internships with these organizations to start with, so that they get the relevant exposure, to actually finally seamlessly get into the organization later on. So as I named organizations like Flipkart, Urban Clap, Big Basket, Coca-Cola, Deloitte, KPMG, these are some of the organizations where discussions have already been finalized, and they are very keen to give an opportunity to our students.
So Geetika, Hansika asks you, and that will be my last question for today. Is it okay to sit in multiple placements?
Yes, definitely. I'm sure we have our alumni with us. So I would request Rajat. Rajat, are you there?
And Rajat, we'll give you just a few seconds to quickly answer that.
So Rajat, I would want you to give us a snippet of how it happened in your batch, because the placement process for your batch is complete, and obviously it is going on for the students who are still in their 2020 batch. So can you just give us a snippet on how the placement works?
Rajat, we can't hear you.
Sure. So even before the placement semester was there, we were specifically prepared for those aptitude tests that form the.
You're missing out.
Is it better? Hello, can you hear me?
Rajat, not very clear. Geetika, can I request you to maybe sum up what
I
Rajat's
think
trying to say?
Why not? Why not? See, I wanted the thing to come from the horse's mouth, but yes, let me explain how it goes. So, uh, apparently, our students, there's no cap to the number of opportunities a student can, avail in terms of placements. The student can sit for as many as he wishes or she wishes to sit for in terms of processes and in terms of applying for organizations, and we give ample freedom to a student to decide which kind of organization the student is looking for, what is the kind of project that the student really wants to work into. Our main focus is to get into the level where the student's specialization is mapped to the kind of project that the student should get. So for example, even under computer science, we have cybersecurity, we have artificial intelligence, we have data science, we have machine learning. So we at my team actually ensures that the student gets the right project according to the specialization that the student studied, so that the learning of the student is well implemented while the student does it in that industry practice, and also seamlessly continues working in the same. So that has happened, if you've seen, and some of our alums talking about it, it has happened with them that they chose a specialization, then they started working in the industry practice of that specialization, and then they obviously got confirmed at the same specialization, and they are successfully working and doing well. So that's how it goes. And I'll highlight again that there is no cap from the university side. It's extremely student centric, and that's what our focus is.
Thank you so much, Geetika. And I'm sorry, we're already, we've overshot the time, but may I please request Mr. Thadani to kindly give us a very brief closing remark.
Okay, I know while everybody's kind of locked down, but at the same time, I think we have busier lives than we normally used to have, and I'm sure it's true for each one of you. So I won't take any too much of your time. Just wanted to say the following 2 or 3 things. First, I'll reiterate the fact that as a campus, we are ready to welcome you. Second, I want to say that while you had a number of questions, and I was so happy to see that the questions were coming right till the end. I am sure there will be other opportunities for you to interact with us. We find these conversations to be very, very educative for us also. So what Monisha is trying to do is to organize many of such very targeted conversations. Today's was on career development placement. Similarly, there would be another one as to how will be life at campus now given the lockdown situation. How are we implementing social distancing? How are we implementing safety? How will your specializations work out? What are some of the newer specializations that are emerging? What kind of routines you have? So all these which are to do with life at campus will be perhaps one of the sessions. And then on specific subjects like today, artificial intelligence came about. We would perhaps organize a special session with Sudeep Sanyal and a few other profs on the artificial intelligence and what kind of opportunities does that throw. So there are a large number of them. Keep sending your questions. Many times your questions help us plan the next interaction. So thank you very much one more time. Most importantly, I want to thank each of the Newtons and each of the alumni Newtons. I felt indeed extremely proud, and I'm not only me, I think all of us feel so proud of the way you express yourself, you share your feelings. In fact, are candid enough to say that you wanted to do all 6 specializations, but you got a chance to do only 1. Just wanted to let you know you can always come back and do the other 5 whenever you want. So with these words, I wish you the very best and look forward to welcoming you at the campus.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much to all of our speakers, each one of you, and even bigger thanks to the wonderful audience, our future Newtons, like we've been referring to you, and their parents. And I really hope we are able to resolve most of your queries. In case we missed answering something, we'll be more than happy to take them offline through our regional admission teams. A couple of people in the audience have asked for a specific connection to one or two of our alumni. We'll route it through our regional admission teams. And last but not the least, on behalf of the entire team at NIT University here, we look forward to welcoming you at NU and hope you're as excited as us to begin this journey. All the best and good night. Thank you so much.